said it so many times today, but he's your favourite fighter. One of my favourite fighters to watch him. I hope when I beat him he doesn't retire. I hope he has some more fights. I hope he doesn't retire once I beat him, but that's what's going to happen. I'm going to beat him just like I beat Michael Chandler. Beat him for the punch on the feet, ruin his legs with kicks. I'm going to damage his calf, and if it does go to the ground, it'll be over even faster.
Here's a bold prediction that might surprise a lot of fight fans before the massive UFC 3024 main event hits.
Towards Justin.
You're one of the few that I've heard say that. Can you tell us why?
I just think he's been in those 25-minute fights. He's been in dog fights before.
The seasoned fighter pointed to Gaethje's extensive history in grueling championship battles as a game-changing factor that could determine everything. Through countless wars inside that octagon, Gaethje possesses something you simply can't teach in any training facility: the knowledge of how to survive and thrive when everything gets chaotic. This analyst expressed serious concerns about Pimblett's ability to keep Gaethje at distance during striking exchanges, while also questioning whether the British fighter can secure takedowns against such a defensively sound wrestler. This leaves Pimblett's in a precarious spot where stand-up battles seem inevitable. According to this breakdown, Pimblett's biggest challenge lies in maintaining his cool throughout the entire 25-minute championship duration, staying calm, picking the right moments to strike, and avoiding getting dragged into prolonged exchanges. There's a certain wisdom that only comes from years of elite-level title fight experience. Gaethje brings considerably more pop in his shots and shows complete willingness to walk through fire to deliver his own devastating strikes. Avoiding that relentless assault for 5 complete rounds presents an enormous challenge for anyone, let alone someone fighting for their first championship opportunity.
Sometimes stopping him on the feet, and I don't think Paddy's going to be able to get him down, so he's going to have to fight with him. Unless Paddy can stay super disciplined for 25 minutes, stay at distance, pick his shots. Justin's just a bigger puncher, and he'll put himself in harm's way to land one of those shots. And it's tough to stay away from it for 25 minutes.
Do you think that the UFC wants Paddy to win?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, because Justin's talking about retirement, and Paddy's still young, and they can continue to build him. There's a bunch of fights we haven't seen with Paddy. So it's more marketable if Paddy wins.
And so how do you see it playing out?
I think Justin stops him.
Wow.
Hold up. All right. Alexander Volkanovski sees things from a completely different angle as UFC 34 approaches on January 24th. The former featherweight king sees Pimbeltt walking away victorious and capturing that interim championship. His reasoning centers around what he's witnessed from Pimbeltt when facing significant obstacles throughout his UFC journey. Multiple times when experts questioned the Liverpool native before crucial battles, he answered by perfectly implementing his game plan and silencing the critics. Volkanovski specifically highlighted Pimblett's recent performance against Chandler as evidence of his ability to stick to a predetermined strategy under immense pressure. That particular skill set will be absolutely critical against someone as dangerous and explosive as Gaethje.
Fun fight. I'm going to go with Paddy, you know what I mean? There's been a couple of times where I thought Paddy's had big tests in front of him and he's passed them. And, you know, he showed me in his last fight he can really stick to a game plan. And he's going to need that with a Gaethje. So I'm going to go with Paddy.
Covington shared his thoughts with Submission Radio, expressing frustration that betting odds currently favor Pimbeltt so heavily. If active fighters were allowed to place wagers on fights, Covington mentioned he would risk significant money on Gaethje coming out on top. Despite widespread public support shifting toward the British contender, Covington sees Gaethje as a tough, battle-tested warrior who will test Pimbeltt unlike anyone he's previously faced. The trial awaiting Pimbeltt come fight night will reveal whether he truly belongs among the elite or if his rise has been somewhat manufactured.
You know, if he gets it done, it's because Justin's just so shot. He's been in so many wars. You know, he's been around the company so long, and that knockout to Max Holloway, he just hasn't recovered from. So if he gets to win that, then yeah, there. But this is like, seems like a smash spot. Like if I was able to bet fighting, which we're not allowed to because the feds got involved because that moron coach James Krause screwed it up for all of us. But this seems like a smash spot on Gaethje because everybody's on, and all the public is driving the money line for Paddy Pimblett to be the favorite. But you know, I think Justin's still a tough dog, and he's going to come out there and give his all, and he doesn't want to lose this fight. This could be his last fight if he loses. So, you know, I think he's going to put Paddy to the test, and, you know, Paddy, you know, usually has to control the wrestling aspect, put guys to the ground to get his submission and to get his striking game working. So, you know, I don't know. Justin's shot on one hand, they're trying to give him an easy win on a silver platter to Paddy to build him up. You know, he's got a little bowl cut and a little mouth, and they think he's the next star. So I don't know. It's a tough fight to judge. You know, how much is left in the tank for Justin versus a guy that's absolute nobody that hasn't actually accomplished anything in the sport yet. We shall see.
Hooker joined that conversation with similar thoughts, strongly questioning Pimbeltt being the betting favorite. Hooker highlighted Gaethje's incredibly solid takedown defense as a major problem for Pimbelt's strategy. He said, "Absolutely not. I'm not buying Paddy as the favorite. Gaethje's takedown stuffing is really solid. I don't see him getting Gaethje to the mat. We haven't witnessed Paddy step in there frequently and compete against the top guys in their prime." Bala Muhammad broke down the fight on his YouTube channel and ultimately sided with Gaethje as well. The former welterweight title challenger focused on Pimbelt's tendency to absorb significant damage during striking battles. This particular flaw becomes far more dangerous against someone with Gaethje's finishing ability and aggressive fighting style. Muhammad believes these defensive lapses will eventually catch up with him.
Don't get pulled into chaos. Don't get pulled into a grappling or wrestling or showing that you could do what he can do better, right? I think on the feet, Justin, you have a really big advantage. And if you're patient, you're smart, you systematically break him down, kind of like how you did against Tony Ferguson, it'll be an easy night for you. For Paddy, I think you got to create chaos. You got to wrestle as much as possible. Yeah, he has college wrestling accolades, but this isn't college wrestling. This is UFC. This is fighting. This is punches. This is grappling. This is everything involved. So if I'm Paddy, I'm going to shoot in early and test it early. Because when you guys are both dry, that's where it comes. We've seen guys like Khabib catch a low kick and shoot off it, or as he's pulling that kick back, shoot off it, pushing him to the fence. We've seen him get pressured. We don't want to get hit by him. Everybody who gets hit by him says how hard he hits. He's one of the hardest hitters in the division. So let's not test your chin. Let's not say Scousers don't get knocked out, right? We don't need to do that. I think your path to victory is clear. It's on the ground. I think you will have a big advantage if it gets into those hard grappling exchanges. And especially if you get multiple takedowns on him. You were able to control Michael Chandler, who's another college wrestler, on the ground pretty easily, mounted him. And you say you want to do the same thing with Justin? Let's put that plan to action. My pick, I think I'm going to go with Justin. I think Paddy just gets hit a lot on the feet. Yeah, he's pretty much clean his last two victories, but Jared Gordon had some clean shots on him, big hooks, big crosses. And Justin kind of like boxes, kind of like Jared. Clean, he likes dirty boxing, he likes inside boxing. Justin's very good there, so I think I'm going to pick Justin in this one. I don't know if he knocks him out or finishes him. I do think kind of would be a decision. I'm going on the Tony Ferguson type fight, because Paddy's tough. He's not hard to break. I mean, he's not easy to break.
Chandler offered an especially valuable viewpoint given his unique position of having faced both fighters. After Pimblett finished him in April 2025, Chandler gained first-hand understanding of skills that many observers underestimate. He freely admits the Liverpool native possesses more talent than casual fans realize. However, when forced to make a definitive prediction, Chandler still favors Gaethje, pointing to his experience and well-rounded skill set. The former Bellator champion sees Gaethje as representing a completely different level of opposition that Pimblett hasn't encountered in his career. Chandler even went further by suggesting Gaethje could potentially unify the titles against Topuria, though he also praised Topuria as possibly the most skilled fighter in mixed martial arts today. The lightweight division has become incredibly complex, with multiple talented fighters all making legitimate cases. Gaethje, what are your thoughts on how this plays out?
Oh man, more skilled, more experienced, I think better fighter all around, Justin Gaethje. But I also have been on record and said that Paddy Pimblett is better than a lot of people think he is. You know, because of his haircut and the way he talks, and when I fought him, he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. He's got long reach, good kicks, pretty darn patient and composed in there, but Gaethje's a whole different animal. So if I had to bet, I'd go Justin Gaethje, interim champion, and then he beats Ilia Topuria later on this year.
O'Malley stood apart from the crowd by strongly supporting Pimblett to win the interim title. The bantamweight superstar sees this as an ideal stylistic matchup for the British grappler to navigate. O'Malley predicted Pimblett will find an opening during the second round and finish the job with a rear naked choke. This shows tremendous faith in Pimblett's grappling abilities and his talent for finding weaknesses during the heat of battle. O'Malley believes those finishing instincts will make all the difference when everything's on the line.
I don't know, dude. I'm kind of leaning towards Paddy. But the way he does get hit with left hooks, he looks so good against Michael Chandler. Paddy's got a lot of ways to win.
He's a scouser.
He's a scouser. Scousers don't get knocked out, you mushroom.
He KO'd Dustin with a head kick too. The fight before the Max Holloway one, which is pretty impressive.
True. So who you got, man?
Probably Paddy, rear naked.
I think,
Ooh,
Paddy
going down in
RNC.
the
Because remember,
detail.
could be.
Yeah. Remember Khabib.
Paddy by rear naked choke for sure. Matt Brown expressed opinions that go beyond simple fight predictions into broader criticism of modern UFC matchmaking philosophy. The veteran showed genuine annoyance about what this particular fight represents in terms of how title shots are distributed. Brown sees Pimblett's rapid ascension to an interim title opportunity as separate from actual competitive merit. Rather, it appears tied more closely to social media following and marketability factors that drive pay-per-view numbers. He made a striking comparison to Arman Tsarukyan, who methodically checked every competitive box possible by defeating elite contenders and proving himself against the division's best fighters. Despite such credentials, Tsarukyan somehow found himself excluded from title consideration, while Pimblett earned this golden opportunity. This critique reflects broader concerns about how championships are contested in today's landscape, where popularity sometimes trumps performance.
Basically saying Paddy's more popular, you're getting it over Arman.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, right? And that's, I mean, God, I hate like how I kind of get into this too much, but I mean, that's really like, that's the definition of, you know, a monopoly where a single promoter owns the title and the rankings. And it's not a good thing for the sport, in my opinion. And I have to question what it's going to do for the longevity of the sport. You know, I don't think in the short term it's really going to make a big difference, right? Like, you know, it's going to sell the next fight, right? It's going to sell the next pay-per-view. But trends tend to come and go, right? Fads tend to come and go. At some point, like, you know, to have staying power and lasting power, I think it requires, you know, a meritocracy-based system. It's going to require, you know, some, you know, if you want to bring in guys like Arman Tsarukyan or Movsar Evloev, I always mess up how I say his name. You know, you want to bring in these Olympic wrestling level guys. I mean, they don't want to have to go out there and put on some ridiculous show to become a champion. They don't want to have to go on Instagram and start a podcast and make you know, whatever kind of skits on social media and this silly kind of stuff. Like, they just want to be a world champion because they want to be the best athlete. And that's what makes me wonder how the staying power is going to be, right? When you're dealing with guys that are, you know, legitimate athletes that want to be legitimate athletes, and they're getting passed up by guys that are entertainers.
Faber presented similar to others supporting Gaethje. The former WEC champion sees Gaethje as someone who truly shines when fights turn into chaotic exchanges, showing zero hesitation to take shots while giving his own punishment. While Faber acknowledges the danger posed by Pimblett's ground game, he trusts Gaethje's Division I wrestling background to provide the defensive tools necessary for surviving ground confrontations. This solid foundation should allow Gaethje to steer encounters back to striking exchanges, an arena where he holds clear advantages and performs at his peak level.
Pimblett and Justin Gaethje, who do you favor in that fight?
I gotta go with Gaethje. I feel like he's the one that loves to like get down and throw fist for fist, and he's also got the Division I wrestling to negate some of the biggest skill sets of Paddy. Paddy's like a very dominant grappler when it comes to submissions. I think Gaethje has the tools to keep it where he wants.
He faced both contenders during his long UFC career. He suggested mental motivation could prove decisive in ways that numbers and technique can't fully capture. Ferguson believes Gaethje's complicated history with interim titles and repeated championship setbacks might create psychological weight affecting his performance. Meanwhile, Pimblett's hunger to capture his first major championship could ignite the type of determination that pushes fighters beyond their normal limits. Ferguson views both competitors as flawed based on what he's observed, but he leans slightly toward backing the newcomer chasing glory.
Yeah, dude, Paddy's not bad. He's very beatable, and Gaethje's very beatable as well. But when it goes into the passion and how upsetting Justin Gaethje has always been about not getting that real title shot, and they just keep dangling it right there again, Paddy's in for a new treat, right? Paddy's the one that's never fought for a belt. he's going in there. He's going to be trying to, get that stuff. He's going to feel a little bit more fresher. He's going to have that little bit of excitedness in my opinion.
Renato Moicano made a bold prediction, declaring Pimblett would win by submission. His logic suggests that unless Gaethje scores an early knockout or TKO, the fight will inevitably move to grappling scenarios where Pimblett holds decisive advantages. Moicano argues that betting markets have failed to properly account for the massive gap in submission skills between these fighters. The current odds should reflect a much closer competition than what bookmakers are currently offering. This suggests a potential blind spot in how mainstream audiences evaluate this matchup, placing too much emphasis on striking battles.
Tough matchup, I think 5 rounds. If this is the common take, everybody gonna say that, not only me, but if Justin Gaethje doesn't stop him on the beginning, he's going to lose. I think everybody thinks like that. And I think Paddy Pimbeltt will beat Justin Gaethje. That's what I think.
Eddie Alvarez offered a totally different angle for his analysis, drawing from extensive experience with Gaethje's style since handing him his first UFC defeat. Rather than focusing on raw talent or technique, Alvarez emphasized preparation quality as potentially determining the winner. The former lightweight champion explained how Gaethje brings a unique type of pressure that training partners simply cannot authentically replicate during camp. Alvarez vividly recalls the constant physical punishment, suffocating pace, and complete absence of breathing room that define his fight. No amount of preparation can truly prepare someone for that reality until experiencing it firsthand under championship lights. Whichever fighter adapts quicker once that bell rings could claim victory regardless of what happened during camp. The first thing that springs to mind when considering that battle with Justin,
that I'm glad it's over and I never want to do it again. I'm like, the fans don't ever ask for a rematch or anything like that, because that would have never. I'm like, I'm glad. He's unique, man, and he's one of my favorite guys to watch. So like, but if you want to beat Justin Gaethje, you have to. So he's a forward fighter and a pressure fighter that he will stand in the pocket. And he's gonna throw everything he got in that pocket. If you don't meet him, you'll get chewed up. So Paddy, the way to beat a guy who does this, very violent, aggressive pressure fighter, you have to meet him. You have to throw when he throws. So you got to be brave, and you have to go when he goes in between his shots. If you do that, you got a fair shot. If you don't do that, if you're not brave and courageous and throw when he throws in between his shots, it's going to be a really long night. It's going to be a hard night for you.
Bisping added his voice to those backing Pimbeltt, highlighting the British fighter's adaptability as a crucial factor. The former middleweight champion also mentioned that legendary Liverpool durability, which has become part of Pimbellett's reputation. Despite acknowledging Gaethje's status as one of MMA's most lethal strikers, Bisping believes Pimbeltt will find his path to victory through seamless transitions between striking and grappling phases when needed. This flexible ability to shift momentum and alter the fight's rhythm creates a weapon that could prove vital when Pimbeltt needs to escape dangerous positions or impose his will. His capacity to threaten from multiple dimensions forces opponents to make difficult decisions about where to focus their defensive energy.
Now we know an interim champion basically means the #1 contender, but if Paddy can pull it off, unbelievable. That'll be 4 champs, 2 interims and 2 legit, well 3 legit now with Tom being promoted from the UK that have become champions. And for Justin Gaethje, this is the final go. This is the final crack of the whip. The man's had 2 title fights in the past, Charles Oliveira to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and now he gets to go up against Paddy Pimblett. Now, talking about the matchup, of course, it is an easier fight for Justin than what it is against Khabib Nurmagomedov, one of the greatest of all time. Islam Makhachev, the current pound for pound, and according to many people, a man that is surpassing Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? So in that regard, it is an easier matchup. Will Paddy be able to take him down? Will he dance around the octagon? Yes, he will. Will he try and replicate the game plan of Max Holloway? Of course he will. Who wouldn't try and do that? You aren't going to stand and go toe-to-toe with Justin Gaethje because the man does have knockout power. But underestimate Paddy at your peril.
With UFC 34 drawing near, this interim lightweight title fight headlining the card, the MMA world stays completely divided on what will happen. Saturday night's showdown at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas will deliver definitive answers to questions that have sparked endless debates. Whether Gaethje's experience and knockout power overwhelm Pimblett's perfect record, or if the Brit's grappling expertise and adaptability prove too overwhelming for the veteran to handle, remains uncertain. Both fighters arrive carrying different types of pressure and hunger that could ultimately shift the balance when everything's at stake under those blazing lights.